I don't want to talk about myself, I want to talk about you. It's really important for you at your young age to understand who you want to be and what are you going to do with your life. Really interesting way to figure out what works for you particularly and what you should do with your life. There are 5 elements in this that you can try for yourself. That's still not enough, because then when I ask people what is an ideal resume, people answer with different suggestions, but just keep coming with new ideas and make sure one of those or many of those get done, and that's your goal. Hi, my name is Shavkat Karimov. I don't even know how to introduce myself because I used to be a lawyer, a filmmaker, and now for the last few decades I'm in IT, information technology. And I also had a few businesses online and achieved some results. But today, I don't want to talk about myself, I want to talk about you. Your future, particularly, because I think it's really important for you at your young age to understand who you want to be and what are you going to do with your life. I particularly suggest you to look at the information technology field, high tech, because it has most promising future for you, unless it's just something you're not really interested in. Why IT? IT has a lot of money, obviously, so you'll make more money than anybody else around you, but that's definitely not the reason. The main reason is that you can change the lives of millions and possibly billions of people by doing things that nobody else can do. And also, you will automate a lot of things in life. You will actually improve our life by making it more and more digital. So that's the main reason why I suggest you to look at IT. But before you do, there is a really interesting way to figure out what works for you particularly and what you should do with your life. It's called ikigai. It's a Japanese word that basically stands for the reason to wake up in the morning. And so there are 5 elements in this that you can try for yourself. First of all, just answer the question, what do you really love? What do you really love doing particularly? And make a list of everything you really enjoy that you feel great about as an activity, and that will be your starting point. Second of all, think about what are you good at? What people think that you're really, really good at? Not yourself, because some people really love singing in the shower, but they suck at it, and then they believe they can sing, but nobody else believes so. So ask people around you if you're really good at that. Again, make a list, and then compare these 2 lists, what you love and what you're good at, and then you'll understand what you probably should do with your life, should be doing with your life. And that's still not enough, because then see where the money is. Do people pay for something like that, for that kind of activity? If they do, then again, you have another confirmation that you're on the right path. But there's a 4th element called, I would say, if it's useful to people, do people really need it? Are you really contributing to the society with that activity? So think about these 4 elements right now. What do you love? What are you good at? Is there money in this? And is it helping people? And then the 5th element that I introduced to ikigai is it part of your values, right? If it's not, then again, if all 4 elements are met in this activity, but it's not really part of your values, then you might not really enjoy it for long, because you need to think long term. Don't think short term. Always think for lifelong experience for yourself. So this is how you'll figure it out. And I hope IT, information technology, is going to be something what will end up in that list for you, for the reasons that I mentioned, but also because, you know, you'll really enjoy it, I think, as I did, while trying a lot of other things in my life. When it comes to high tech, I want to talk to you about your career path if you choose that, and if it's something you're not really interested in, you can just, you know, log off and look at something else, or just try to understand more about high tech for your friends or family, since it's in such demand today. In IT, there are a lot of different professions. You can be a data scientist, a coder or engineer or programmer, as they call it, or, you know, a PM, product manager, project manager, program manager, or anybody else, a content writer, copywriter, a web designer. There's so many fields out there. Even if you're a photographer or a cameraman, you can still be in IT by doing things that's needed there. You can also do business in high tech. But mainly, it all starts with, you know, again, same exercise, like what exactly are you going to be doing? And then you'll see the career path in front of you on how you can start, and then how you can end up, like me, getting to the, you know, vice president level at a global company. So you start with your resume and cover letter. And then there's a third element called LinkedIn profile. So LinkedIn is a huge social network for professionals to really understand who does what. Basically, you build connections, you look around. It's all about people, not you know, me, all the people. And then the more connections you build there, the more visible you are as your profile by filling in every single field, by adding your photo, your title, you know, your location, and what you did, what you achieved, particularly on LinkedIn through your career. Then people will better understand who you are, and then hopefully invite you to join them, to join their companies, their businesses. That's number one. When it comes to your resume, you know, when I ask people what is an ideal resume, people answer with, you know, different suggestions, but the ideal resume is actually the one you don't need. So you become such an expert in your field that people know you. People don't think that you need a resume, right? I can give you a lot of names in every micro niche or big industry of famous people who just don't need any resume. Be like them, but before you start, while you're still young, you didn't really have any significant achievements, you have to have a resume and also a cover letter. So how does it look? Resume should be short. Unlike LinkedIn, that should be long and have, you know, needs to cover everything. Resume should be short and very concise. You know, it needs to include everything that you've done and your experience, professional experience, your education and other things. But the less, the better in general. 1-page resume is better than 2-page or 3-page resume. You should adjust it based on the job, the vacancy you're applying for. That's very important. And then inside your resume, don't talk about what you did and what you worked on, but talk more about what you achieved, how you changed things for better for that particular company or project you were working on. And then another thing about resume is that there's a system called ATS, Automated Testing System. Many companies are using it. So if your resume doesn't match the job description, it just wouldn't pass that stage, and then nobody will even see it. So when you apply, make sure your resume, you know, reflects the job vacancy that you're applying for. And then please always include a cover letter, because cover letter is something that tells the employer or recruiter that you took extra time to research their company and made extra effort to write it and then explain why you want to work for them particularly. And if you didn't do it, like me as a hiring manager, I would even ignore your application because you didn't spend the extra few minutes to write something up. You don't have to write it every time. You can have a default one that you can always adjust based on the company you're applying for and the role. But the main thing that as a takeaway about cover letter that you want to take home is that just make sure that you talk about them first and then about yourself, not the other way around, because a lot of people do that mistake. They talk about themselves and then they still talk about themselves. But you should talk about them, and then when you talk about yourself, you still make it applicable to them. Make sure that it's really relevant to what they're looking for, to who they're looking for. This is the part about how you apply. And then, of course, you need to find those jobs, right? You can't just send your resumes randomly. So the way to find a job, there are 4 major sites out there: LinkedIn Jobs, Glassdoor, Indeed.com, and then ZipRecruiter. And then also Google Jobs. It's like an aggregation. All 5 of these are aggregations. All 5 of these are aggregators. So they take jobs from other sources, from company websites, from other big job portals. But the reason here is to make sure you cover all 5. You look at all 5, and you do very, very thorough, massive research, massive search for jobs that you're looking for, based on your field, right? So when you search for a job, make sure you use this thing called a wave search of waves, or whatever you call it. I've developed it a long time ago. But the idea here is not to find a job, but to find a way to find that job, right? I'll explain. You search with some keyword, and then many results come up, right? Look at the results very thoroughly. Look at every single detail and try to understand how you can find more of this. So this is going to be your search. And this is going to be your first wave of your search, right? And then the second wave, you can explore more of these or start searching for these particular roles. Well, what it will give you is that you will learn how to find more and more results, because it's a numbers game. The more applications you make, the more efficient your job search is going to be. Let's say if you apply only 100 times, and your conversion rate from job to a call from a recruiter or an email is 0.9%. So guess what? You'll only get 0 responses, because 0.9 out of 100 is still 0, right? But if you send, let's say, thousands of applications, which is really hard, it will take months, but it's doable, then this 0.9% will be 9 returns, right? 9 people calling you back or emailing you back and inviting you for an interview. So 9 is a lot. You can actually have at least 2 or 3 offers after that, which is really cool. Now, when it comes to the interview stage, which is really desirable, you will have to talk to a recruiter first, and then hiring manager, and only then, a set of interviews with the team, and hopefully after that get an offer. When it comes to interviews, normally companies ask behavioral questions, which is about your achievement, your failure in life, in your professional life, and your conflict resolution style, and your plans for future, things like that. So be ready to answer those with stories. Don't go with a theory, because nobody likes to hear some lecture about how things should be done, but give them the story about your life, how you resolve the conflict or what you achieved. Make it significant. Don't make it something lame so people don't really find it interesting. And as for failures, always everybody fails, nobody's perfect. So have a story about that as well from your professional career. But if you're a student from your university years or anywhere, and just make sure you have a lesson learned from that. Because if you end up like, yeah, I failed and didn't really learn anything from there, it's a failure itself, right? So make sure you have a story about your lesson when it comes to the failure. They also sometimes ask kind of trivia questions, tricky questions. Be prepared for those, depending on your discipline. If you're a PM, you'll give some assignments on how to, launch a certain business or, solve a certain task based on customer feedback on other things. There are frameworks. I mean, you can learn about all of that depending on who you want to be. If you're a coder, they'll give you, assignments on the whiteboard. You just, learn lead code, exercise there, and then eventually you'll pass a lot of those easily. But in general, just always prepare. Do it many times. Do mock-up interviews with other people. And then the more you do it, the easier it's going to be for you, right? It's really a matter of practice. It's a very important part. And be calm, be yourself. Don't worry. There will be more opportunities in the future. So just keep going and you'll make it happen. When it comes to the offer, it doesn't mean you have to accept it right away. Negotiate a little bit. As long as you are happy, you will accept it anyway. But sometimes, companies give it to you with an idea, with some room for negotiation. So use that room and just talk a little bit about numbers. And I wouldn't cover that much because it's a bit too far in our conversation. And then once you join the company, you need to make a career there. You need to, again, build a network internally, make sure that you're responsible for a lot of stuff. Suggest projects, suggest your ideas. Be ready that a lot of your ideas will be turned off. That's okay. Just keep coming with new ideas and make sure, one of those or many of those get done. And that's your goal. In conclusion, I want to tell you that I hope this was useful and you make a great career in IT, in information technology. And if you need any of my help, you can find me just by searching Shafkat Karim on LinkedIn or Facebook, and I'll be happy to help you. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.